All Century 21 real estate offices are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker of Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable on 94.3 FM The Talker. I am here with my co-host and husband, Pat Devaney.
Good morning, Jackie. How are you today?
Very good. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
All right. We have a very, very extra special guest today, Mary Vanston. Hello.
Hi, Jackie. Hi, Pat. How you doing today?
We're doing well. Thank you for being here with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is delightful. I love to talk. My favorite subject is real estate.
Yes, it is. And we're so excited to have you, Mary. Thank you so much. We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 11:30 a.m., where we review many real estate topics. We have a full-time real estate office with many relentless realtors who've been assisting, guiding, and advising clients in real estate matters for 50 years.
Wow, 50 years. During the week, feel free to email us with any questions you have at questions@jruddy.com. That's questions@jruddy.com. Or you can give us a call at 570-344-6724. And when you go to jruddy.com, click on the webcam tab. We have a roof cam on the building, and you get a live view of Dunmore Corners and see what's going on.
We're always getting calls from the public regarding our webcam and if we can go back in time to look at such and such an hour for such and such an event, car accidents, people getting hit.
Yeah, all kinds of things.
Lots of stuff going on at the corners, but I personally like to look at the weather. So when the weather gets frightful out there, I like to see what the road conditions are, and it's a good way to check it out.
And we just got an upgrade on the camera out there, too. So
yes, we needed that because it was getting... It
was getting unreliable.
Yeah. View our listings, search the MLS listings, listen to archive radio shows by going to mobilefriendlyjruddy.com, JRUDDY.com, where you can also find out which podcast apps our radio show is offered on and their most popular podcast apps. Also, check us out on social media. We're Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest. Mary Vanston. Yes, Mary. You've had quite the career, former broker and certified residential appraiser, and everybody knows Mary Vanston Real Estate, which you had an office at Blakely Corners for many, many years. Tell me about yourself, please.
Well, I've had a long career in real estate, 46 years altogether. I was hoping to make 50 years, but unfortunately COVID hit me, and like everybody else. But going back, say to 1975 when I started, gosh, that's a long, long time ago. But anyway, it seems like yesterday when I started. And it's so much different then than it is now. Right now, it's really up to snuff, and it's a very, very professional, and main reason out there is really to protect the buyer and the seller, which is very, very important. But years ago when I started in 1975, even to get a license, oh my gosh, we of course we had to go to school like candidates do now, go to Penn State, and then if we wanted to take our state boards out of the Real Estate Commission, we had to go to Wilkes-Barre, and was only offered like once a quarter, so that was quite inconvenient.
But was anyway, paper and pencil. It wasn't computer. You actually went to a classroom to take this test, right?
Yes, we did. It was a classroom, many classrooms, in fact, because you have to remember it covered Lackawanna County, Luzerne County, and Monroe and Pike. So there's a whole bunch of people down there at the same time taking their real estate exam, and also the brokers would be taking their exam also. So there were two different exams being taken. But yeah, it was quite different. And now, of course, the difference is that you're able to take the courses right here in Lackawanna County at various schools.
Or online.
You can do them online. You don't even have to leave your house anymore.
You take them online. You're absolutely right. And also when you have your test taken, your state board's test, you could take it locally. You don't have to travel to Wilkes-Barre or anything of that nature. So the convenience right now is really great.
So you started in 1975, and then you were working with John J. Lavelle Real Estate, and then you became a broker in 1978. I mean, that's almost unheard of. That was so fast and quick.
Yes. Well, at that particular time, I started real estate after my husband was already taking the courses. And then the reason why he was taking the courses is because he had a surveyor job with the state. He lost his job. And all of a sudden, we're raising 3 sons, and all of a sudden we need jobs. So he said, Mary, why don't you take the course at Penn State? And I said, Gene, I don't think I could do real estate. I can't sell houses. He said, Mary, yes, you can. Yes, you can. So then I got involved. I did go to Penn State. I took the courses, and my teacher was John Lavelle at the time. Very, very nice man. And I did so well with my courses that he remembered me. And when I applied for a job, I did apply with him, with his office. And, of course, he took me. And the Lavelle family were very, very ethical and very, very nice to work for. So I was very fortunate to start working with them. But still, I had my goals. I wanted my own office. So I continued to go to school. And after 3 years, I did get my broker's license.
And you started?
And yes. I started appraising. Because
when you were a broker back then,
right.
you automatically could appraise.
You're absolutely
They changed
right.
that back in the early 90s, right?
Yes, you're right, Jackie. Yeah, in 1978, we were able to appraise for the banks, for estates, for whatever we wanted. And, of course, I had a good mentor, too, because with the Lavelles, they did a lot of appraising. And I would do appraisals and send them up the office, and they would check them. And I continued that until 1992. The state came out, and they wanted appraisers certified. So we all had to go for continuing ed and then take a state test. And we were kind of angry about that because now it took more time and, of course, more money to do that. But it was all for the protection of the public, which to this day I think is the right thing to do.
Well, it's all separate now. So the appraisers and the real estate, they're separate. They're separate licenses. They're separate. They're governed by separate entities. So you could be a real estate licensee and also have an appraisal license, but they're 2 different licenses. And so a lot of people confuse the 2. I think that they think anybody, if an agent, the general public think an agent call up a real estate office and get an appraisal. It doesn't work that way. They have to be certified. And in fact, they separated the certifications between the residential and the commercial. So if you have an appraisal license today, a lot of times people think that you can appraise a commercial building, but it depends on your certification, whether you are residential or commercial or both.
You're absolutely right, Jackie. And one thing about the way it was the fact that you had more experience. You had experience as a real estate agent, buying and selling, and then you were a broker, and you were doing appraisals, and that's after 3 years of experience, real experience. And then once the certification came, of course, you didn't have to be a real estate agent. You just came into the business being an appraiser after going to school. Now, a lot of colleges are offering courses in appraising, and of course, now you have to have a degree in order to become an appraiser. Before
the show started, we were talking, and back in 1975, and before that, you were saying that like real estate agents and real estate offices were almost non-existent. So like very few offices existed.
That's true, especially the franchise.
There were no franchises back
No,
then.
the only one that I could remember, and you'll remember this, is your dad. He was the first one to open up a Century 21. And after that, the Hinkleman office started. And little by little, Caldwell Banker started to come into the mix also. But we didn't have franchise offices then. It was strictly, you're a broker, you got a storefront, you opened up, and the real estate commission came in to check your office, and you had to have a desk for each 2 agents. And, of course, along with that, we had typewriters. You remember those? And little by little, we started getting fax machines.
Oh, that was state of the art.
It was really, really big. And we were so happy to get those
We're not even using fax machines anymore.
No fax machines. And other than that, if we didn't have the fax machine, we'd have to run to the attorney's office with our sales agreements and listing agreements and run to the bank with these agreements. And there was no way to really communicate other than personal communications with banks and with attorneys, because there was no email either at that particular time, you have to remember.
No lockbox.
So we did a lot of walking and a lot of parking and a lot of time consuming.
Well, back then, too, realtors, agents represented only the seller, and we did not offer buyer agency.
And what did they used to say in the 1970s? Boy, how this has changed. This is probably the only Latin I know. Caveat emptor, right? What is
Buyer
that?
beware.
Let the buyer beware.
Yeah. So,
Now it's let the buyer get a lawyer.
but now we have agency, and it's buyer's agency, seller's agency, dual agency, designated agency. And most people still, when they call us for our listings, they just assume that we represent the seller. So, that has stuck over time, and they don't understand that they can have their own agent.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Back in the 70s, we represented the seller.
And only the seller.
And the buyer, also, the buyer agent, which we didn't have a buyer's agent at the time. But if you were selling somebody else's property, then they represented the seller also. So,
sub-agent, they called it.
Yeah, right. It was a sub-agent. You're right, Jackie.
So,
and then about 1998, 1999, the buyer's agent came out. You were either a seller's agent or a buyer's agent. And that took a while to really become familiar with. There was a lot of with the agents. They would rather still represent the seller of the property. So it took about 2 or 3 years to really catch on.
there were no seller's disclosures.
No.
There were no lead base paint disclosures.
No.
There was no consumer notice.
Right.
There weren't even inspections really done. When I first got into the business, very rarely did a buyer perform a home inspection.
Absolutely. The only inspections they would have would be if mom and dad wanted to come and check the property. And sometimes a local contractor would come and check the property before they signed the agreement, or sometime during the course of between signing the agreement and going to the bank. So, but right now, to protect both buyer, seller, and agents, the disclosure that you just mentioned is very important.
Yes.
Yes, very
And
important.
we've come a long way in such a short period of time. But technology also has exploded. We used to work out of books that were printed. How often were they printed? Every other week?
Every other week. In fact, we used to pick them up in your dad's office, if you remember that.
I do remember.
Yeah.
Boxes of
Yes.
books would be there.
Who's going to Ruddy this week to pick up all the books? Sometimes we'd have to pick up about 35 books, whoever was in charge of books. But the books were important because That came out, by the way, in 1978. We got the books. The books were important because
There were 6 listings to a page.
Yes, and they were small. They were very small, but it gave us enough information to go out and and sell the properties. But the buyers would actually come into our office, and I'm sure they came into your dad's office also, and pick up a book. They weren't allowed to take them, but some agents would give them out. And they would bring them back. And, of course, that's how you got your clients at that particular time also.
And there was 1 picture to a property.
Yes.
Now we have 100.
Yes.
It was the outside, the front, the face of the home. That was it.
Mm-hmm. Right. That was it. Yes. But the books were like a Bible. I mean, they were very, very important to everybody. And then they also had a selling book. A selling book would come out maybe once a month, and there'd be all the houses that were sold. And that, of course, helped the appraiser because we got most of our information, of course, from the multi-list books.
Right. I still have a bunch of them.
Yeah, there's a few. I see them floating around.
Right. We do.
Yes.
With us today is Mary Vanson. We're taking a stroll down memory lane, what real estate used to be like in the 1970s. Mary Vanson's former broker and certified residential appraiser. She had Mary Vanson Real Estate at Blakely Corners for many, many years, and we really appreciate you coming in and talking to us about the history of real estate. It's fascinating. Before we go to break, Pat, would you like to review a listing, please?
Yes, we have a contemporary 3-bedroom, 3-bath home at 600 East Swinnock Drive in Dunmore for $396,000. This home sits on a corner level lot. It's in the desirable Swinnock development. This spacious home has been meticulously maintained with vaulted ceilings, a brick fireplace, central AC, and it's got this beautiful terrarium-style sunroom. It also has a spacious 2-car garage and a finished lower level with another family room downstairs with an office. That's a contemporary 3-bedroom, 3-bath home with a 2-car garage at 600 East Swinnock Drive in Dunmore for $396,000, and that's listed by Kim Keynes of our office.
Thank you, Pat. I have the Greater Scranton Board of Realtors multi-list statistics year-to-date for single-family dwellings. What's going on here? And you're going to be amazed by this, Mary. The absorption rate, and of course, that is the number of months it would take currently to sell the current inventory on the market. 1.93. It's under 2 months of inventory. It just last year at this time, it was at 4.5 months. And so that's a 57% decrease. Median list price is $185,000. Median sales price is $175,000. And that year to date, median sales price is up 13%. Market time, days on market, is down almost 70%. It's taking just 11 days.
11 days.
11 days.
Oh my
Fantastic.
God.
Right?
Fantastic.
Okay. So the number of single-family homes sold year-to-date is up 17%. Sale pending, that means under contract, is up 5.4%. Active listings are down. Number of active listings are down 8.8%. And then new listings just hitting the market is up 5%. What sales price would you say are seeing the most increases?
The big ones.
You got it. How did you know that? $300 to $399 is up 49%. $400,000 to $499 is up 98%. And $500,000 plus is up 186%. So
Fantastic.
they're seeing the most, the largest increase.
Mm-hmm.
So stay with the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM. The Talker. We'll be right back.
The talented team of professionals at Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. They're not just real estate agents, they're agents of change. They're on a never-ending quest for the best for you and your family. They can help you find precisely what you want at this time in your life. A computer, a website, an app, and a listing by itself can't do that. They're obsessed with better and deliver extraordinary, embracing the what if, not just the what's been done before, with a level of accountability and honesty not found anywhere else in the real estate industry. Don't settle for average, okay, or just all right. This change in your life is monumental, and there's only one Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate that will help you rock that change. Call 570-344-6724 and visit jruddy.com, JRUDDY.com. Each Century 21 office is independently owned and operated.
We're back with more Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker, and with Pat Devaney, my husband, fellow realtor.
And we're back.
And we're back with Mary Vanston, former broker and certified residential appraiser. So
I'm back.
You're back. So thank you for being with us. And before I go into this 50 changes in 50 years and all the different changes that we're going to talk about, I thought we'd talk about that picture. The photo that used to be one photo for a house back in the 1970s, 80s in the book.
Right.
One photo of the front of the house and how much that's changed. Pat brought up the fact there's hundreds of photos of the interior, exterior of the property and drone pictures.
Drone pictures, that's
above,
right. That's right.
So, we see all these pictures now, which is very helpful because most buyers start their search online before they even talk to an agent or a loan officer. They're online looking to see what they like, right?
It's like 90%, right? 90%.
In the
right?
90s, high 90s, right? They start their search online. So they're going to most likely jruddy.com, right?
jruddy.com. You can search the MLS. Everything is there.
Everything is there. You don't have to go to one of these.
And the information is current. You go to some Illo or Ulia or something, and a lot of times you get outdated information of things that sold months ago.
It's very frustrating.
Yes, I don't know where they draw their data from, but ours is more current.
Do you have any opinion, Mary, on Zestimates?
A Zestimate, which is usually in Zillow, I've seen them. And sometimes I look at it and I say, where did they get these figures? And I'm looking at it through the eyes of an appraiser. And I think it's quite unfair that a number should be in there. And then looking through the same window as a real estate salesperson, it makes it very, very difficult for them to try and sell a house if Zillow puts a high price on that house.
Unrealistic. Many times it's just unrealistic.
It is, and it's very, very hard for the real estate agents to counteract that, because buyers and sellers, well, especially sellers, want to project a higher price on their house, naturally.
Right, and it's very hard, as you mentioned, for a realtor such as myself to go in against that number that they have set in their head. So despite the data that I bring in to show otherwise, they want that number, and it's unrealistic. It's not real. It's fake.
Absolutely.
Artificial number.
It is fake, yeah.
Because they haven't been in there. They don't know the amenities. They don't know the floor plan. They don't know the overall condition, but yet they're able to establish a number.
Right.
I don't see.
What if you got a junkyard in the backyard or something's falling down next door?
That's right.
Seriously.
Right, Pat. You're absolutely
they
right.
And they say, I want so many dollars.
How easy would our job be if we had a Kelly Blue Book? Right? But we don't.
How many miles are on your house?
That's right.
All right.
No, very important to get into the house, look at it, and do your comparable sales. And pinpoint a price.
Right.
And that's what the experienced realtor does.
Apples with apples, not oranges and pineapples.
Absolutely. Yes.
So
let the realtors do their job. They're trained. They know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. So let them give you a price. But that's what you should go by.
Right. I don't call the HVAC guy, the air conditioning guy, into my building, and he comes in, and I open the closet, and he opens the air conditioner, and he starts looking around. I don't tell him what he's got to fix because he knows what he's looking at. He's doing it every day. Why am I calling a realtor then? I need to let people do their jobs. Have some trust that these people actually know what they're doing. Mary did it for almost 50 years. Jackie's doing it for 30 years. Wow. You can tell at a glance what a value of a house is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so 50 changes in 50 years. In the 1970s, the average first-time home buyer was 30.6 years old. Today, the average is 32 years. It's due in part to the shifting financial situation of millennials. Many are carrying staggering student debt. Also, the home is no longer looked at for purposes of a family. So many millennials aren't buying their first home with a family in mind. In 1985, the first year the data was available, 52% of first-time home buyers were married. In 2016, only 40% of first-time buyers were married. So there's a sharp decline there. Today's buyers are spending more. First-time home buyers are spending much more today than they were 50 years ago, right? Now, that's according to Zillow.
Uh-oh.
In 1970, the average cost of a first home was $87,000. In 2017, it was $190,000. Back in 1968, my parents purchased their home for $28,500. The home that they were living in that they also owned, they sold for $31,000. And that was because it had a little commercial. You probably remember The Office.
Sure.
On Electric Street in Dunmore, right? So it had 2 apartments and it had a little office. They sold that for $31,000, and then they purchased the home that my mom's still living in for $28,500.
Amazing.
Amazing.
The house in Brooklyn that I grew up in, we sold in 1977 for $50,000. That home sold last year for $2 million.
Oh, my goodness. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my house in Dixon City now that I raised my family in, we sold that for $38,500 in 1980, I think it was 1983. And now it just came on the market about a couple months ago, and that sold for, I believe it was $160. So the changes are really, really dramatic.
Very much so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting.
And, again, getting to the buyer that you just mentioned, Jackie, but now the buyers do have more money because both of them are working.
Back in the 1970s, it was sometimes just a one.
Oh, absolutely.
Income
Myself,
household.
back in the 70s, I would have little part-time jobs, but I couldn't go all day and work, But now, couples manage to get out there and they both work, so they have more money and they're able to buy more expensive homes and bigger homes, like you pointed out.
Right. Well, thank you, Mary. We appreciate your time today. Before we close, Pat, would you like to review a listing?
Yes. Tell me if this listing sounds familiar. We have a commercial property with 2 apartments upstairs. It's at 1503-1505 Electric Street in Dunmore for only $180,000. This is a storefront on the street level with a 1-bedroom apartment and a 2-bedroom apartment upstairs. There's plenty of off-street parking in the rear of the building, so that isn't an issue. The storefront needs renovation, and the apartment upstairs are occupied by long-term tenants, and each unit has separate utilities, including heat, water, and sewer. That's a storefront with 2 apartments at 1503-1505 Electric Street in Dunmore for $180,000, and that's listed by Lustra's area of our office.
That's where I spent the first year of my life, and that was my dad's real estate office. Right. But you know what? When I was talking about what they sold that house for back in 1968, I didn't realize that you would be bringing it up as a listing. How funny. Very coincidental. Very, very coincidental. We're out of time. Thanks for joining the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Remember to tune in next Saturday at 11 a.m., Sunday at 11:30 a.m. on 94.3 FM The Talker.